Good call. It was not. It is now.
Oh, perfect.
So,
Now, can you tell me why? Well, I think I know why, but just to hear from you, why is supply and demand so important?
so when you consider retail trading versus institutional trading, you look
Mm-hmm.
at something like this, and price has trickled up over this area, kind of spikes down into this level, and then pops out really nice, comes back, and then you can see the volume at which it's dragged back to this level and dragged
Mm-hmm.
out of this level. Now, people say that there's no true volume in forex, which is correct. There's no true volume in forex, but it's still transactional based. So if you look at any you look at Bitcoin, you look at commodities, you look at the indices, whatever. There's always going to be. I mean, it's a market. There's buying, there's selling. It's transactional based. So when you look at wicks like this, what that means is strong, decisive, quick, and heavy transactions to one side or the other. Now, when you have this many people, in this case buying out of a certain zone, then you know that their stop losses are probably, at least at first, down below here. I don't know how many, and some of them, like me, right? So if they're trading
Mm-hmm.
strictly off of the weekly level, then this level had already been established, and they're probably waiting for a break above this next structure to trail their stop losses. So
Mm-hmm.
when you look at supply and demand, you're essentially identifying that there's either going to be pending orders at or around this level for people ready to jump on, and as a result, you're going to see some really quick movement out of those levels, either to your side, or if we break and we start to trigger all those stop losses, right? People are going to jump in short here as those stop losses trigger, and as price retraces back up, if it retraces back up into that zone, then you can expect a break and retest and a strong move in the other side. Because what you're getting here is you're essentially getting stop losses at structure, which, this little bit of structure right here. You can see how that
Mm-hmm.
lines up here. So when price breaks through supply, you can see that it tries to break out again, but there's just too many orders in the opposite direction. So what probably happened is people came out of this level, right? And they didn't enter here. They entered here. And
Mm-hmm.
as price, as a result, their entry, if they entered here, their stop loss would have been a little bit further south, maybe down here below structure. But because that's a wider gap to have to calculate and to hold on, their stop loss was most likely right around here, like towards the bottom of the zone, and right at this level. And even, since these people are the ones that are waiting for confirmation, these are probably the institutional traders. These are probably the retail traders. These people probably dragged that entered on this retest, probably dragged their stop loss up to structure and pretty close to break even fairly quickly. And you can see that when we break into that zone, that's the first target they have, is right back at that structure. And then as we break down, it's probably where the second set of stop losses is. And then as we fill those, that's a lot of orders filling quick. We run back up, and then we break south really fast. So when you think about supply and demand, really what you're trying to envision is just lots of transactions and pending orders, and taking advantage of those quick fills that are not controlled by humans, but instead controlled by AI, right? So AI is what drives pending orders. It's, you set it on your computer, you walk away, and they may not be monitoring. Once that fills,
Huh.
then you're getting lots of buying and selling in a dedicated point. And in this instance, right, you come back down to a zone that's already established. You could see that we fill a couple of times because people were probably waiting for the test of the low or a little lower right here. And then when we don't, you can see how much quicker it jumps out, right? So this is indecision, this is indecision. We come back and we test, but you can see that there's probably, this is a weekly time frame, so these are probably quick jumps on the daily and the 4 hour. So you can see that it holds a couple of times. Then when we come back down, the bigger retail traders see this and say, okay, well, now it's going to hold. You can see that how quickly it comes out of that level. The second time around rather than just the first time around. So it's really deciphering the difference between retail traders and institutional traders, and kind of following in the footsteps of where the institutions want to take it.
Okay, that makes sense. How did you learn that?
Lots of research. And when you and a lot of chart time, the way that I learned it really was establishing those zones and like playing with those zones. And then I've done a lot of training on the ladder, the price ladder, and the dome, and looking at not order flow, but looking at the order blocks that sit within those zones and how quickly the order blocks gap down after filling those levels. It was really eye-opening to see just how much was in right here. And you can't do it really on Forex, because if I were to open up, let's see, there's no real dome on the, there's no real dome on here, but you can, if you were to open up the, active trader, where you could see some of the order blocks, or like level 2 or time and sales, like you could see time and sales is probably the best bet. Because you could see a lot of orders flow through at once. Don't think level 2 has any data. No. And Thinkorswim's not the best for that. That's why doing it on the indices with the dome, you see a lot more. But that's really, that just combined with lots of reading, lots of learning, or lots of trying to teach myself about that order block type of.
That's crazy.
Yeah, makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
All right.
And the thing that you look for, if I remember correctly from all your teachings, you look for, to identify supply and demand, you look for a long wick and strong moves off of it, or 2 uniform size wicks and a strong move off of it. Is that correct?
Yep, you're right. Okay. So this, let's see, this I would consider probably not supply and demand, because if you look at the way that this works itself out, it's a calculated fib run, and it's retesting structure that's already been established. So this area, despite the fact that it's a long wick, it's not a super decisive move out of it. It's more of a continuation, and it's retesting structure that's already there. This, on the other hand, it's a little bit smaller in the grand scheme of things, but if you bring it right back up to the body, it still holds nicely as low. And then this is a really strong move, but it just rounds itself out. And again, it's retesting structure, and it's right around an ABCD completion. It's not exact, but it sits kind of right around that area. So, and then actually probably add a little bit of, that didn't snap right. A little bit of trend, if I can get it to snap to the right spot. So we hit that top and then just kind of rounded out and fell from there. So there's no real quick move out of that level that helps kind of decide. Now this is another interesting piece right here, because you can see kind of in this zone, you can see a little bit of a gap between the bottom, right? Like it's not huge, but once we gap down below this level here, then this gives us really quick movement. So I might consider this. I consider this as a short-term one to keep in mind. It helped, like just until we break out of that range. Probably not one I'd leave on my chart, but in the moment, that's one that I might have considered. And from here, that's right where the gap is. And from here, I'd probably go down to the daily chart, and I want that longer. So this is really where it starts, but I missed too many. And so this is another one of those situations where we gapped up. You can see right there we gapped up a little bit, and then we had a retest and well, not really a retest because we don't have any structure plotted there, but it's definitely, yeah, that's a fib, and that's really small for you, but that's oh, I didn't even snap to the right spot because it's too small. But it's a 61.8 retracement, so this gap down right to fill the 61.8. You can see there's a little bit of structure there. And mark. Oh. Mark off a little structure. So we retested that zone, but then coming out of that level, you can see the volume that we had. So this is kind of a unique case, but it's one that I would definitely keep on there just because the strength coming out of that zone, and then we gapped up and we haven't yet retested it. That's one that I like a lot. And this one. And from there. And this is pretty. We got a couple minor ones. That's pretty strong move, and this I would consider a pretty strong move. Despite the fact that it rounded out, it still was it was a nice move coming out of that level. So that's one I'd consider too. And then that, a little bit messy for how I like it, but still not. When you get down to the 4 hour, it makes trading a little bit easier. So that's probably where I'd stop it if I'm trying to build out a chart full of supply and demands, some support. I might tweak some of the support levels a little bit. Like This one's good. This one's fine. This one I might drag down just to incorporate that a little bit.
Now, when you're trading like with the supply and demand and the support resistance, are you waiting for it to hit the new the demand or like the supply up top? Well, since it looked like it's in a downtrend, are you waiting for that? If I was just like solely trading those two things, or are you just, what would you do?
Say that again?
Oh, I'm sorry. With the two boundaries of the supply and demand, are you waiting for it to actually get to the demand or the supply? Like it's in a downtrend right now. So would I like just wait for like it to touch the demand? Is that what you would do?
In terms of only trading, like if you only had supply and demand on your charts? Or
yeah.
That is no, I'd say just because that limits you, I would say like so for me, I don't ever just you know that I won't ever just trade with one thing on there. So give yourself a little trends. Like we're in a nice little channel right now on our ride down. Duplicate this to the downside. Where's duplicate?
You ever use that the tool right there? It says create like channel.
No, I know a couple people.
Yeah.
This one, where's it say that? That thing?
Yeah.
No. No, I'm not into all the little nifty things that they have on there. But then I mean, because this gives you plenty of opportunity, right? On the ride down, this gives you a lot of opportunity. So if you look low to low, then this would be decent run down. If we did that structure is not the best. Heavy trending, we could probably so 38.2 holds nice, and then if we were to give ourselves this impulse run, there's that, and then this actually isn't connecting. Whatever. But you get the point. So that's how I trade. I don't know many people that just trade zone to zone, but if they do, they're primarily swing trading, and they only draw out zones on the weekly and the daily, and they're really not worried about their stop loss. Like it's a huge stop loss. So they would, right, if they're trading zone to zone, they would either wait for it. They would enter at the test of this stop loss up above, and then they'd probably do like an order cancels order where if we broke, like they'd probably have the stop loss be. So let's say they were trading with one lot. So they went short one lot and they had their stop loss up here, but it would be essentially a limit order or a pending order to where if it broke, then it would fill. And so they had this like a 2-lot long. So if they're 1 lot short, but if it broke this, it would cancel out that 1 lot. It would cancel out that 1 lot short and fill a 1 lot long because it'd be overstepping by a lot. So if it broke above this zone, then they'd target this zone. So that's how they'd trade if they were just doing zone to zone. That's not my style. I don't like that.
Yeah.
But
that's interesting. Yeah, that seems a little sloppy to me.
And it works for some people. You know, it works definitely, but not for me. I like too much confirmation and.
I'm with that.
So let's see. Actually, I'd add this too because I like when there's a wick right in the middle of the zone because that gives I like those little precise entries too. But let's see if that's how I would approach it. In terms of building out structure with both support and supply and demand. Some of the reasons for distinction that I use between the two. So why don't you give it a shot on a chart of your pairing or your pair of your choosing, and let's see how you run through.
Cool. See what I can do. Which chart did you have up?
I did the Euro yen.
Oh, okay, cool. Choose something different. All right, so start effect. Something like do like how I was taught. Create like a little boundary. Call it. But I won't actually create a boundary. That's it. I heard in one of your videos you did with Sean that you also used to be a fighter, like mixed martial arts and things like that.
Yeah, I've been. So I started as a boxer. Started as a boxer about at this point probably 10 years ago, and then I did Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu and judo and a little bit of wrestling. I had four semi-pro boxing fights and three amateur MMA fights, and now I just once I really started working in a more professional environment, showing up with like a black eye really wasn't acceptable. So now I just coach. But I coach every Thursday morning.
Get out of here, dude. That's like I follow boxing more than I actually follow basketball.
Oh, really?
Dude, I'm in love with it. I love my father, whatever. Like that was his thing. He always loved it. I remember he told me a story how he played basketball with Ali. He would always watch the fights when I was younger. I just fell in love with it. But okay, so what? I'm sure you're hearing the talks about Floyd Mayweather versus Khabib. What do you think?
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the whole crossover thing. I'm more excited for the Anthony Joshua Deontay Wilder fight.
Oh, okay. The fight that won't happen.
The fight that won't happen because Deontay Wilder won't sign off on it. I'm a huge Anthony Joshua fan.
I was until he's afraid to lose. Like I don't like that, man. Like just like it's no problem if you lose. That's the problem. I love Floyd Mayweather. He's my favorite fighter, but he has screwed up the game to the point people are afraid to lose. You're still great if you get a loss. It don't matter. But you think he'll beat Deontay Wilder?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wilder is so
wow.
He's so like it. Wilder's thing is like his technicals are not there, but if he connects with one of his big shots, then it's game over.
Yep.
Joshua is such a technician that like and his footwork and like for a big dude, like his footwork is unreal and his
I agree.
His positioning is just I don't think he'll put himself in the position to take one of those shots, and he's got some power himself. So if he doesn't knock out Wilder, then I think he'd just win by decision based around the amount of shots that he gives out versus what he's taking. I mean, I can't foresee Deontay Wilder connecting with one of those big shots, and if he doesn't connect with one of those big shots, then I don't think he has a chance to win.
But yeah, look how many times he was tagged when he fought Klitschko. I mean, he gets tagged quite a bit, and his condition is not really there because all that muscle mass that he has. Like, I think he's a phenomenal technician. Don't get me wrong, but Deontay Wilder got Thor's hammer. He just needs that one shot, and he's not like technical at all, and he knows that. He can just get lucky, and it's night-night. Like he says, there's no man he's been in the ring with that he hasn't knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at it and I think like, yeah, the Klitschko Joshua fight was one of my favorites.
Phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Klitschko's always been one of my favorite boxers, and he's a pretty good tactician himself.
Oh, no question.
I think that is a much better fight than Wilder in terms of just like back and forth. I think that's a much better fight than Wilder and Joshua would be because they're both really well set in their fundamentals.
Oh, I got another one for you then. Luis Ortiz versus Joshua.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Ortiz is a big dude.
Uh-huh. And he's highly skilled. He comes from that Cuban school of boxing. So
yeah, that'd be interesting.
That'd be something to watch. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on Lomachenko?
What's up?
What's your thoughts on Lomachenko?
I haven't watched too much. I don't watch like the welterweight, lightweight stuff too much.
What? That's shocking.
I know.
Those are the divisions.
I disagree. I mean, I like Golovkin. I like, but I just, if I'm gonna sit down and watch a fight, then I want there to be some power to it. Like I miss the days when boxing wasn't like when you had like one or two divisions and it was just like you could have a 170-pound dude fighting a 140-pound dude, and it would just be like matched, like somebody quick matched up against somebody powerful, and it'd be really like it'd be interesting. I don't like when there's like I mean I'm a welterweight lightweight. So when I was fighting, I was in that, but I was.
Are you?
I'm short. I'm like 5'7", but I walk at because before I started fighting, I was lifting a lot, and so I would walk at 5'7", I would walk at like 175, and the people I was fighting would be like in the same division as me. They'd be like 6'1" and lanky 175, so I had more power than they did. They were like, and I was just as quick, if not a little quicker, because I was shorter, so I had much less to travel. So for me, and maybe I'm biased because of that, I liked that style where I could actually hit somebody and like not have to throw 15 punches in 5 seconds in order to get them down, where I could hit like 2 or 3 and and make them step back, and if I hit them in the side, then a body shot would actually do something. But when I look at somebody and they're going at somebody's stomach like a speed bag and it's not really doing anything, and they just kind of pop out of the corner like, all right, great. I'm just like, what? I mean, I don't have all the time in the world to sit down and watch all these fights. Like, I want to see some violence. I want to see somebody get knocked the hell out.
Okay, then I'm guessing, if I was to take a guess based on your style and your height, your weight, your favorite fighter of all time might have been Mike Tyson. If I was to guess.
No.
Because, I mean, really? Because sound like that's what you were. You were a stocky, like, guy who had the speed and the power. Mike was an undersized heavyweight, speed and power, one-punch knockout power. So who was your favorite fighter of all time?
Sugar Ray.
No, wait, hold up. Now you wait. This is quite the contradiction.
I know it is. And you know what? It was Sugar Ray and it was De La Hoya. And
oh my Lord.
I've changed. As I got older, I changed. Because they when I was first getting into boxing, they were who I associated with, because I was, they were both like what, 5'10", 5'9", and they were they were skinnier, lankier, and they were quick, and so I was like, when I was first getting into boxing, I'm like, I'm not a big dude, so if I get into boxing and I have to fight somebody that's bigger than me, I have to be quick. So I have to have good footwork, and I have to have, I have to be able to position myself and be quick. And then when I started getting into it more, and I started to build out my strength, and I started to learn how to use that, then I started to get more into like the power boxing than I was the quick speed boxing. But it's funny. I think it's more for nostalgia's sake. Like, if you were to ask me and I were to get into boxing now just as a fan and to start watching, you're right. It probably would be Tyson. It probably would be Foreman. It would probably be like the sluggers. Like, but yeah, it's. I think it's more for nostalgia's sake than anything else.
That's very, very interesting. Very. Wow. Okay, I can't knock that. Those are some good guys right there. So then you were like Canelo. I mean, you're a Triple G fan, but yeah. Canelo got the power, got the speed. He was staying in the pocket and everything. So were you more of a defensive fighter? Or, well, I know you're offensive, obviously, because you're talking about your speed and everything. But how was your defense?
I was always pretty good on defense. I was a better combination. Like I would I wouldn't do kind of like what Floyd does and feel out an opponent for the whole, the whole 12 rounds.
Mm.
I would more like I would be defensive for the first little, and to a fault. This is really why I don't think I ever really could progress, because my fight style was always very much the same. Like, I would feel out an opponent for the first couple of rounds and let them, like, as a young kid and being in an amateur setting, a lot of people were very eager and very aggressive, so they would punch themselves to a little bit of exhaustion in the first couple of rounds, and then from there I would transition. So usually, like rounds 1, 2, 3, it'd be pretty defensive, and I used their not anxiety, but their aggression against them. And then rounds like 4, sometimes 4 and 5, I would turn into a lot of parries, a lot of side steps, and then body shots. And then from there, it was aggressive myself in rounds 7, 8, 9. And I don't think I had many fights that went the full 12 rounds, but it was, but then again, I only had 4. 4 semi-pro. A lot of the amateur ones that I had for boxing were, they were not sanctioned, so they didn't have a 12-round bout. It was, 10 rounds, it was 8 rounds, etc. So, but yeah, I was.
So, what was your record?
Decent combination for the semi-pro stuff. I was 3-1.
Oh wow! Huh.
I was 1-2 MMA. I was a better boxer than I was MMA because my ground game. I hadn't been doing ground stuff for that long, and so I got submitted once, and I fought an ex-Navy SEAL who was just a tank. Like, he was me. So like I had the advantage being shorter, but a little bit like thicker in terms of mass. So I carried more power, but this dude was like 3 times me. Like, he was a and I would hit him. He was a wicked nice dude, but I would hit him, and he would just like, he would pop out and be like, "Yeah, great shot," and I'd be like, "That was everything I had." And then it'd turtle up and get into a boxing stance and then come straight after me. I was like, I'm gonna die.
Wow, what the heck, man? I commend you. I mean, I would love to fight him, but I'm like, I don't know if I like getting hit. But wow, man, that is dope. All right. That's what I got from the.
Go out to the weekly. Let's see what you got on the weekly. So why? The zone right in the middle.
Right here.
Why that wick to that area? How did you get that one mapped out?
Originally, I was going for this wick right here, and I saw the move going down, so I was going to take that. And then I noticed this wick right here, this wick right here, this wick right here, and the strong move went up and went up even further there. So when I had it here, I thought, you know what, I might as well just like bring it up higher than here, and I guess encapsulate that move as well going up. Whether or not it's good, that's what I did.
So here's what we're gonna do. Clear. Just right click and do clear drawing set. Get rid of everything.
Get it out of here.
And zoom all the way out. Zoom all the way out as far as you can. Let's just do supply and demand. And if you, because that one that you had, sorry, zoom back into that area that you like the last based on like on this downtrend, like that sharp downtrend. Yeah. So that for
Uh,
me is if you go back to the top of that high wick, like right, yep, right there, and
right here.
yep, and you use that as the top of your,
Mm-hmm.
and then let's see, I'm just looking at it on mine too,
Mm-hmm.
and then go down to like pull it over and see where it ends up. Uh, so pull it down to the just above the 1.1 level. So like the last wick before up a little higher. Sorry. Essentially, yeah, right there to that
Right.
wick.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is not a supply zone. If you look at that, that
Change
to me,
control.
yep, that's a change control zone.
And see that I always had the hardest time with change control. Always. I don't know why you always explain it well, and I never can get it. Well, I will be able to get it in time.
Yeah,
So what makes that change control?
So there's never a really quick move that comes out of that level. It's never super decisive. Like if you look at so there's the wick that establishes it, the second wick, and then the third wick where it kind of hammers down a little bit. So that third, no, all the way over to your
Right
left.
here?
It's like this. It's the second wick
Oh.
after the zone's established. Yep. So that's the most decisive move coming out of there, but it's really a retest of that first wick in the zone. So if you were to go through and create structure within that area,
Mm-hmm.
like if you were to just mark off the first wick with a price level. Sorry, the first, the next
Right.
one. Nope, one over to the left.
Next one. Oh,
No, within
here,
that zone,
here.
the first wick within that zone. Yep, right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you mark that one, and then you mark the next wick, that's a little higher. So the
Oh no, it's terrible.
so mark off after you get color changed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mark off then the wick after. Yep, that higher one. So go up to the high point there and mark off that one.
Okay.
So just using those two wicks, you look at your change
Mm-hmm.
control, and that's the structure that you've built out. So it's really consolidated. It's some fairly quick moves within, but popping out of it, it drifts to both directions, right? So when we break above it, we come back and we retest, and then we retest that
Mm-hmm.
the first piece of structure you have in the middle of it. Then we break above, and then we retest again with a nice little retracement, and then we finally get the movement out of there. So to me, there's no real quick, decisive move coming out of it. The wick's long, but to me, that's just really reading that there's a lot of transactions in a confined amount of space, and people aren't really trading from movement in that area. They're more trying to capitalize on those targeted runs, those quick targeted runs. So it's not established well enough, or it's established too well almost to be a supply or demand zone because it's not giving you that movement. So if you zoom out
Mm-hmm.
and you look at that 8227 low, and you zoom into where, and you zoom into where it gets low. That is that wick right there, that little hammer candle. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first one that I'd draw as a supply or demand zone. And then if you zoom out and drag it over,
Ah.
quick tip,
Mm-hmm.
when you're zooming in and out, you know, if you hold control,
Yeah.
use your wheel, you don't have to go
Aha.
click.
Oh, that's dope. Ha! Pro tip, like it.
Makes it a little easier so you
That's
don't
dope.
have to keep taking your mouse position away from where you want to be.
That's crazy. Ah, thank you for that.
I
Okay.
primarily use it, and I'll zoom in usually by clicking and dragging and just kind of highlighting where I want to zoom in, but I'll zoom out using the wheel.
Got you. Duly noted.
And then if you go to the high, the 16037 high, looks like there's a little wick up
Mhm.
there. Maybe not. I
How
would.
long does a wick need to be? Would you?
It's
Yeah.
It depends. I like the wicks actually over to the left before the high is established a little better. Um,
Hmm.
but that really reads to me more like change control than it, like that whole zone up there. If you were to
Yeah.
if you were to grab the top and bring it down to the range bottom and then drag that over and darken it, that to me reads more like a change control zone. Just grab that whole piece of structure and drag it.
Let's see if I can do that there with the little movie showing me. That's what is happening right now.
Do you still have control?
Yeah, that's why. Okay.
So
Until right
I
here.
would go all the way down to that range bottom there. Yeah, right there.
Oh, really?
Yep. Because to me, if you
Wow.
look at that, that reads like a change control zone. More just because there's a lot of consolidation. The move coming out of it is strong, but that reads like a change control zone. And then if you do a price level on the wick, not the wick, the zone right before, or the high right before you break into that zone. So the last over to the left, like just below it.
Right here.
No, just below the zone itself. Yep, right
I'm
there.
guessing right here.
Those wicks.
Okay.
That to me reads as the line in the sand piece of structure. So this is set up a little bit differently. It's yes, supply and demand, but it's more. Here's a consolidation zone. Once we break out of this and retest, that's where you're going to see that movement. And you could see that we come back up and retest that line in the sand, and then kind of if you zoom out, that's when you get that movement out of that level.
Huh. So it's change control. Because you're mentioning consolidation, is that what change control pretty much is? Consolidation to like runs coming out of it, not like necessarily strong. But
Not necessarily. It doesn't have to have runs coming out of it. Like the change control you have in the middle, that's really more just structure based and pure consolidation. Yeah, there's no real. If you in the grand scheme of things on the weekly, there's no real separation yet. It hasn't made a drastic run to either side. So it doesn't necessarily need to have a substantial run coming out of it. Excuse me. More, it just has to have quick fills of the level.
Okay, I'm gonna have to digest that one. Definitely.
And then the last. So if you go to the last run down, right? Does yeah, that big run over to the left, pretty much where you just were, just over to. So do you see that wick, right? If you go over the last retracement before you dive back down to pretty much right above July on your timeline. Sorry, the July, and then you see the 15. So all the way over to your right, just left of your toolbar on the bottom.
I got this thing blocking it, so I can't really. Tell me when to stop. Where I'm going.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. All right, right there.
Right here.
Nope, up more. The high, pretty much. Before we make that run down, that wick right there. That's the last little piece of. It's not huge, and it doesn't stand out, but that is the last little piece. If you look at it, on like a 20-year daily, you'll see that that's like the last little piece of structure before we really fall. So to me, that makes, so you said how long does the wick need to be? It doesn't need to be that long. It just needs to signify something that it needs to signify a strong move and quick transactions within that area. So put down a little bit more to fill to the body. There you go.
Man, you got good off of that. I didn't even see that at all.
So that's really what I'd have for supply and demand. You picked one that doesn't have a ton of supply and demand in it, which is good because you have to look at the chart a little bit differently. But if you were to go through, and so I've got a meeting that starts at 9:15, but if you take this chart, what we've got so far, and just use that to mark up just on the weekly, and even go down to the daily if you want. Just add in some more support and resistance, and if you go down to the daily and see an area that you think is good supply and demand, then mark that off. But try and build out your structure based on the weekly and the daily chart here, using support and resistance and supply and demand. And given that we've already got pretty much all of the supply and demand for the last 20 years, on at least on the weekly, that shouldn't be overly difficult, but it'll be a good introduction to building out some structure. And then I'll take a look at it whenever you get it over to me, whether it's today or tomorrow or Monday, then I'll take a look at it. And then from there, try it with a blank chart. So try it from scratch on something like, maybe try the Aussie dollar or something like that. Try something that's not, since we did the euro yen and the euro dollar, try something that's not euro. So whether it's the yen or Aussie or pound or something like that.
Cool. All right, yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. This one, it's a little bit more difficult, but I'm gonna go over it again and try to get it down.
And I will. I'll start converting the recording right as soon as we get off here, and hopefully that'll be done early enough that I can get it over to you before the afternoon.
Oh, cool, man! I appreciate it. Well, thank you, Mike. Appreciate all the work. Before you go out, I know you got rushed. What do you think about getting funded? Like people like funding people for. I'm not asking you for that. I've been hearing that a lot about funded accounts and everything. Do you know anything about that, or
yep?
What's your feelings towards that?
We'll talk about that next time. I'm working with a guy who was doing great, then tried to get funded by Top Step Trader and made they have such rigid requirements. Like, I didn't know too much about it before I read into it. They have such rigid requirements that it threw him off of his own rules, and he completely blew up his trading because they messed with him. Like, it messed with him so bad. Like, they have such, like, he was swing trading Forex, and he was trying to jump in on futures trading, and so he was used to like bigger stop losses, trading lower contracts, and you can't do that on futures. You can't trade lower contracts on futures. It's one contract is the lowest. So because of that, the P&L was quick, and he wasn't used to not having room for drawdown. Because like if you have like $500 worth of drawdown or $300 worth of drawdown in a day, which can happen super quick on futures, then you void your you have to start over, and you have to pay to get your account reset. So
screw that.
Yeah, so I don't like it. It's not worth it.
That's what I was figuring, because I was going through some stuff. I'm like, what? Yeah, in the way you're teaching me and everything, I'm like, man, I don't want to go through this crap. Like, I don't like the way they're teaching. I like your teaching. Like everything that I've been through, I like yours. So anyway, I'm not gonna talk your ear off or anything. Have a good meeting. Thank you again. I'm gonna do my best to go over it again and add more structure and watch the video again.
Sounds good.
Cool, man. Have a great day and great weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Appreciate it. Go Lakers.
See you later.
All right.